What is up? We are Wrestling Maniacs out there worldwide. I'm the host with the most, Mr. We Are Wrestling himself, the best one, Dottie, here with...
What is going on, everybody? Danny Hawkins here, man. 1/3 of We Are Wrestling, man. We got some more predictions coming at you because we have WWE Payback on Saturday, man. A day before All Out, bro. We have a busy-ass weekend, man. Be lucky that some of you guys are just fans and you're not content creators, because although it's fun making content, doing it back-to-back like this, man, is definitely a hell of a process.
Absolutely, man. And this Saturday, tomorrow, for WWE Payback, we will be live, doing a live watch-along. Danny and myself will be doing a live stream over on the We Are Wrestling YouTube channel. Ben, he is busy during this holiday weekend, catching up with the fam, so we don't know if he's going to be a part of the watch-along, but Danny and I, we are committed. We're going to be getting the WWE Payback watch-along to you guys on Saturday, so if you're looking for somebody to watch the show with, Danny and I will be live. But before we dive into our predictions, if you're listening to this, give us a 5-star review, not just a 5-star review, but a best one review, and download the episode. But if you're watching this and you're not a We Are Wrestling Maniac yet already, you're not a part of the thousands of subscribers, we recommend you to hit that subscribe button now, turn on the post notifications. Videos be coming out of nowhere like an RKO, and of course, you already know, the grind is real. And normally, before our predictions, we talk about the build for the Premier Live event. So, Danny, how do you feel about the build leading to Payback?
Some matches are better than others. You know, you're not gonna hit a home run, every time. I gotta say, one of my favorite builds, even though I didn't think it was going to be, has to be Seth Rollins and Shinsuke. At the beginning, like when Shinsuke turned on Rollins or whatever, didn't really know which direction he was gonna take it, and then he did the whole thing where he whispered into Seth's ear, and then we had to wait till the following week to find out what he said. And I feel like it wasn't until the video promos, showed up with Shinsuke, showed sort of the darker side of him. It wasn't until then that I feel like, this match had any kind of hype around it. You know what I mean? Before that, like, obviously Shinsuke, he's not one of those guys that should have a microphone, a live mic in the middle of the ring, just because of the whole broken English thing or whatever. And it comes off sort of comedic. It doesn't come off like menacing or anything like that.
The
But when
casual.
you have the dark promos and the pre-taped video packages or whatever, and he's just talking in Japanese, and you have the subtitles or whatever, so you can read along with what he says. Like, it built intrigue and it made me interested in seeing this match.
I gotta say, these video packages for Shinsuke Nakamura have been fantastic. I love this new side of him, and honestly, I'm very excited to see, where his character goes within the next few months. I think that, him being on the Raw brand is definitely a great move for him, because he has been underutilized for quite some time, and finally, he's getting a solid match on a Premier Live event. And I love that they're doing these video packages, because you're right with, the broken English, nothing, against him, but with, casual fans, it's very hard to get over with that. And I think, Shinsuke, has been doing a fantastic job. I really like this darker, edgier side of him, because we haven't seen that yet from him. And this is exactly how they should have been booking him when he turned on AJ Styles at WrestleMania a few years back. This is the Shinsuke that I think a lot of us are invested in. And honestly, I got to say this. I'm looking forward to Payback more than AEW All Out. Does that make me an AEW hater? Absolutely not. Because and a lot of the We Are Wrestling Maniacs know, I do enjoy watching AEW a little bit more than WWE. And All In, they just had that a week ago. And going from that to All Out, just, throwing random matches out there, I'm not invested. At least with Payback, we have matches that they've been building for weeks. and it's not like they threw anything on the wall to see if it sticked.
Yep. And uh, pro wrestling in a whole is thriving. AEW just had one of the biggest shows they've ever had as a company. 81,000 people in Wembley. Last weekend, and you can't have a winner 2 weekends in a row. You know what I mean? So you had All In and WWE. I feel like Payback is going to be a little bit better than All Out. So I don't hold that against AEW.
I do.
Obviously, I don't because
I do because they're the idiots that wanted to have their biggest show in their company's history at Wembley and then a week later wanting to do another pay per view. I understand it's been a tradition that they usually do this, towards the end of August. I totally understand that, but it doesn't feel as important. And that's why I think a lot of us aren't invested in All Out.
yeah. Well, let's stay on topic and we'll save that whole all out discussion for another time.
That's right.
Um,
Which, by the way, did We Are Wrestling Maniacs, Danny and I, we do give our predictions for AEW All Out that will be coming out later on today. As you know, this gets uploaded. We have two predictions in one day. Absolutely wild.
I
But
don't
with
think
that
we've
being
ever done
said,
that.
let's dive into the matches for WWE Payback 2023. What do you say?
At least we only have 6 matches to go through.
That's right. To start off, we have a singles match for the WWE United States Championship. Rey Mysterio defending his championship against Austin Theory.
Um, I have no idea what to think about this match. Austin Theory. We talked very highly about him. Going into WrestleMania earlier this year. But I feel like he lost a lot of momentum since especially after he had that lackluster match with John Cena.
I
And
agree.
John Cena is one of those guys. He's rode the miles. He's took the bumps. Yeah. If you can't have a good match with John Cena, then there's very few people you'll be able to have a good match with.
But John
Um,
Cena didn't show up either that night. It does take two to tangle.
exactly, and that was definitely one of the worst WrestleMania matches I've ever personally seen. Um, but I feel like since then, Austin Theory's lost a lot of momentum. He's not as hot as he used to be. He did nothing with the U.S. title. I remember back at War Games last year, man. He beat Bobby Lashley and Seth Rollins. He was red hot last November.
Me and
I
Ben
don't
were
know.
there.
I don't know what the fuck happened.
Yeah, I think that they overdid his United States Championship run. He shouldn't have had it all the way, past WrestleMania. Maybe he should have lost it to somebody else at WrestleMania. You could have created a new star with that. But they had other plans, and I think they just had a longer reign than it should have been, and that's why it was very lackluster. But I will say this. I do like the fact that Theory is going against Rey Mysterio because I am a firm believer in, a champion does deserve a rematch clause, and it only does make sense that they have this match at Payback. So I do
Yeah.
like that a lot.
Yeah. Does Rey Mysterio need the U.S. title? No. I do think that his career is winding down. We won't be seeing him as much, within the next at least 2 years. I say we have him for maybe middle to late 2024, and then he's gonna be winding down more. So obviously they wanted to give him one last hurrah before he does hang up the boots, just because of he's been a company guy, man. Like Rey Mysterio has been consistent all these years, and they had to reward him somehow. What a better way than to give him one last hurrah before he hangs up the boots. Um, Part of me wants to say Austin Theory is gonna win to beat Rey Mysterio for the U.S. title, but then again. Obviously everybody's speculating that maybe Santos Escobar turns on Rey Mysterio,
Yep.
and we could potentially get a match like that down the road. Would it be good to have Rey Mysterio drop the U.S. title to Austin Theory?
So Here's, something I do want to say about, Rey Mysterio's US title run. I don't see him losing to Theory. I think that this is just a way of, giving Theory his rematch. It does make sense why Theory would want to, go back at Ray. And it does make sense, the rematch clause. I know a lot of people don't like it because they don't like seeing, the same two guys going at it. But it makes sense because if you lose a championship, are you going to just move on or are you going to want to try to get your championship back? Realistically,
You're gonna want to get your championship back.
obviously. So here's what I think is going to happen long term with the U.S. title. I think Santos is going to be turning on Ray, and I think that he's going to win the championship by Survivor Series. I think that that's when they're going to make the decision, unless they decide to, ride it out all the way until WrestleMania, which I don't see them doing that. But honestly, I do have Rey Mysterio retaining the championship over Theory.
Yeah. My only question is like, where do they go with Theory after this? If he's gonna be losing clean, or I mean, would you? What if Santos Escobar, you know, maybe causes a distraction or whatever, and maybe attacks Austin Theory, and Austin Theory wins, but Rey Mysterio still keeps the title, and that can cause friction between Santos and Rey Mysterio because Santo in his mind, he's like, Rey Mysterio is like his mentor. He was trying, thinking he was helping him out, but Rey Mysterio is like, no, like I want to do things the right way, the Luchador way. I want to. I want to win with integrity, and it causes further friction between them.
Yeah, that's definitely possible, but we're going to have to wait and see with what happens.
I'm interested as I could be possibly.
But moving on now to our next match, we have a singles match for the Raw Women's World Championship. Rhea Ripley, Mommy versus Raquel Rodriguez.
Um, we saw Raquel on Monday Night Raw, and I don't know if you watched it,
I
but she
did.
had more of a vicious side to her. She got rid of the whole coming out and smiling at everybody, and wanted to shake hands and kiss babies, and she came out with a purpose, and that's the Raquel we need. She could be a monster if she wanted to. She's just a lot of people critique her because she's smiling. She's this, she's sort of like how Bailey used to be, with the Bailey buddies, and just
I see that.
that quirky attitude.
I see that
Like
comparison.
we don't need that. We need Raquel that's gonna fucking dominate the women's division. And I feel like that's the kind of Raquel that we're getting because she's starting to see that people think she's a pushover. And I mean, is Rhea Ripley going to lose? No, Rhea Ripley's not going to lose this match. But have a feeling Raquel is going to look really good in this match, and it's going to just further her in the women's division, and make people take her more serious.
Here's what I love about Triple H Premier Live events. He gives a lot of younger talent opportunities, and Raquel has not had a big singles match at a Premier Live event until now, going
Yep.
against the most over woman in WWE right now. And I love how he's doing this because we have a pretty solid track record this year. We got
Hmm.
to see Io Sky versus Bianca Belair. We also got to see Zelina Vega versus Rhea Ripley. So Triple H is given these opportunities on a bigger platform, which is great because if you're trying to get your, established superstars over, you need to have them matter. And by having them matter, you put them on a Premier Live event like this. And I think Raquel, she needs that, boot in the ass. And I think her going against Rhea Ripley, they both have the same build. I think that this is definitely going to be a really good match. And honestly, it's going to, put more eyes on Raquel, which I think she needs.
Exactly. And
Who do you got?
I gotta go with Rhea Ripley. She's like, the head of the women's division. She's more over than Becky Lynch, Trish Stratus, Bianca Belair, Charlotte. She is up there. She's gonna be up there with, one of the all time greats in, female wrestling. And her title reign is gonna be fucking legendary. Where it's gonna be a long time before I feel like she's gonna drop this title because you have to build somebody up that's worthy enough to take it from her. Could that be Raquel? Maybe. I don't see it happening now though.
She's going to be champion, I think, all the way until WrestleMania 40, realistically.
I mean, if they build up Raquel, she's definitely a shoe in to be the possible woman to beat her for it.
Could be,
But
but we're going to have to wait and see.
she needs to stay with this more serious attitude and not be a pushover. She needs to show that she fucking wants it.
Yeah. So I do have Rhea Ripley retaining her championship against Raquel. I think that this is going to be a hard hitting match. Definitely looking forward to this one. And I think down the line, they're going to build a long storyline with Becky Lynch and Rhea Ripley. It only makes sense. They're both, two of the most popular WWE women wrestlers right now. So it
Yep.
only does make sense because obviously, we're going to talk about Becky in a few moments, but man, I think that long term, Rhea and Becky, they're going to have the feud, so I don't see her losing the title. Because that's just money on the table. Let's just, call it like it is.
I know.
But
Money,
move
money, 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 money. Imagine we hear that. Shane McMahon comes out doing his little dance.
but moving on now to our next match, we have a singles match. LA Knight, yeah, versus
Yeah,
The Miz. Awesome.
bro, man. We've heard a lot of reports, and this part of it does tie into what unfortunately happened last week. We lost one of the all-time greats, Bray Wyatt. Rest in peace, Wyndham Rotunda. you know we knew that after SummerSlam that they were going to push LA Knight. We didn't necessarily know how, you know um but I gotta say, man, like, as much shit as I give the Miz, and trust me, I do it quite a bit. I don't feel like he's really done anything to reinvent himself. He's been the same character for fucking years. You know, he he came in as sort of like this punk rock skater dude with fucking jean shorts and fucking little ass mohawk to being like this Mr. Hollywood character that he's been for fucking years. Yeah, I just feel like it's stale. He needs to figure out some way to reinvent himself. That's one of my main reasons, why I dislike the Miz. But I will say he's good at making people look good in the ring. You can't take that away from him. Like, even when he loses, like, he loses in style to the point to where he makes his opponent look like $1,000,000. You know what I mean? And LA Knight, man, he's a future world champion. The very, 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 very last opponent that Bray Wyatt unfortunately ever had a match with. I can't imagine how he feels currently, but I just hope that they strap the rocket to him and fucking blast him off to the fucking moon, man. Because if LA Knight is not worthy enough to be a future world champion, then I have no hope for this fucking company ever.
Yeah, that's the thing when it comes to, The Miz. His character has been stale for a while, but he is able to make it work. He's able to, get your attention. And honestly, I think that this feud with LA Knight has, brought some momentum back to The Miz that he's been missing for a couple years. I have been very invested in their segments. I love what they both are doing. I love that The Miz, came out this past Monday dressed up as LA Knight. That was fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah,
And honestly, man, I think that LA Knight's first legitimate feud being with The Miz as a babyface, I really do like that because The Miz knows how to put over talent. And honestly, I think LA Knight is going to get the win.
not gonna lie, bro. And I don't know which way they're gonna push LA Knight. I don't know if he's a heel, babyface, both. Depending on what city he's in.
Babyface with a heel attitude.
Honestly, I would not mind him having a feud with Cody Rhodes, going closer towards like the Royal Rumble, whatever, getting him set for Roman Reigns. LA Knight is just, if LA Knight can't push the guy even further than he is now. I don't know. I don't know, man. I could just see that happening. LA Knight is the guy.
I
You
want to
know,
see I want to see the Miz and Grayson Waller get paired up already. That's what I want to see.
I could definitely see that. I have heard. I don't know what
Because I'm
I
gonna
don't
be
know.
honest, bro. I think the Miz would benefit more being a manager in a manager role, especially for
Yep.
an up and coming guy like Grayson Waller. That could really, put both of these guys over. It's worked with MVP as well. He,
Yeah.
doesn't wrestle anymore. He's, a manager,
Yeah.
and he's, done pretty good for himself. I think that the Miz could definitely benefit from doing that.
I definitely think so too. Um, and I don't know. According to Great, apparently now this is not listed here, but I have heard that there's a possibility that there's gonna have a Grayson Waller segment because obviously you notice Cody Rhodes nowhere on the show. Yes, we're gonna apparently have the Grayson Waller effect with Cody Rhodes being the guest. Now, is that gonna lead into almost like when Kevin Owens did the Kevin Owens show with Steve Austin? Is Grayson Waller just gonna be talking a bunch of shit and they're just gonna have an impromptu Magic Payback? I'm not sure. We're gonna have to wait and see. Um, but it's gonna be interesting to find out. And I just wanted to mention that because you talked about Grayson Waller a few minutes ago. So, um,
And I love that you mentioned that because on my list here as the host with the most, that was the next thing we were going to talk about was Grayson Waller and Cody. So honestly, like that was a great segue getting
good
into that.
segue, man. Got it. Yeah, you got to just get it in the hole, man. I just
Hole in one.
oh, I put a hole in one all the time, man. That's why I have 3 kids.
Kerwin White. But honestly, man, I got to say, I'm looking forward to this segment with Grayson Waller and Cody. I think if you're going to, have Grayson Waller on the main roster, you do need to showcase him. I wish that he would wrestle more, but if you're going to put him in a segment with one of your top babyface, definitely a good move to have it at Payback. It's definitely something different.
I yeah, I mean, it's a good way to get Cody Rhodes on the show. Obviously, you don't have Roman on the show. You need, a huge top talent on the show in order to sell even more tickets. Obviously, it's all about getting asses in seats. So you got to have, whether Cody's going to be in a match or not, you got to have make some kind of an appearance. Um, so like I said, he could be doing the Grayson Waller effect, getting interviewed. Grayson Waller could, be making smart remarks towards Cody about, his loss to Roman Reigns, maybe, or his feud with Brock Lesnar, just saying stuff to get under his skin, and they could potentially have some kind of impromptu match happen.
Or I'm going to call this a wild take.
Wild take in the house of We Are Wrestling.
So, a wild take is something that is a 1% chance of happening. This is like hitting the lottery,
Oh,
winning
hey,
$1 billion on a scratch ticket
I would love to
or
hit a
the Mega
billion
Million.
dollars.
I'd love to too. But what if Cody Rhodes gets RKO'd from Randy Orton and we start a feud with Randy and Cody?
I could see something like that happening, obviously, with their history. Um, we could have, you know,
Nobody's talking about Randy Orton, man.
nobody's talking about Randy Orton. You could have Grayson Waller, come out, he's talking to Cody for a few minutes or whatever, and he could be like, Cody, I forgot to mention this before we came out here, but I have another guest on the show.
Yep.
And then you hear Randy's music come
And
out.
that would be an insane storyline for Cody Rhodes during this whole, hard times and hardship. Because obviously we got the feud with Cody and Brock. That's over with. Now let's go back into Cody's past. And he was a part of, Randy Orton's, group legacy. And
Hmm.
the storyline is there. They have legitimate history. And if Randy Orton is ready to go, that would be the perfect way to, have him come in at Payback where nobody is expecting it to happen and nobody is talking about it.
Like Cody,
So
like
that's my wild take right there.
like Cody Rhodes' music says, there's more than one royal family, in pro wrestling.
If
I
this
mean,
happens, man, I hit the lottery. I hit the jackpot.
you hit the jackpot, man. You better go cash in those chips, man, because you're about to be a trillionaire. I could actually honestly see that happening. Whether I heard that Randy Orton was in the process of getting cleared. But I also heard Randy Orton. It's come out over the last week or whatever that he's taking the whole Bray Wyatt thing very extremely hard.
Yeah.
He's doing nothing but apparently crying around the house and just in a very very dark place right now. So that could have definitely been a working plan before Bray Wyatt's unfortunate passing.
You're
Could
right.
things have changed since then? I mean, it's only been a week. I don't know if Randy's head would be in it right now. I mean, the last time he was here, he was the Fiend's last match at WrestleMania. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So
Yeah, he's got history with him. They've had 2 WrestleMania matches. They've had, 2 different, rivalries and storylines through the
yeah,
years. So
but
that's understandable.
yeah,
I do
but
see
the
where you're coming
Fiend's
from.
the Fiend's very last match before Bray Wyatt got released was Randy Orton when he
Yep.
came up out of the fucking Jack in the Box.
Mhm.
So Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt or Wyndham were really close. I mean,
Hey, like I said, man, that's a wild take. 1% chance that that could happen. I don't think it's going to happen, but it's just a little take that I kinda wanna open that door.
I'm definitely not gonna rule it out as a possibility. But if it doesn't happen, I'm just gonna go with this being the reason why, and I wouldn't definitely not hold it against Randy.
Oh, absolutely not. Or maybe he's not cleared yet. So, things can happen. We're
I've
just gonna
heard
have to wait
I've
and
heard
see.
I've heard through the grapevine that a lot of doctors have recommended he never wrestle again. Apparently his back is really bad. And somebody who suffers from back pain a lot. Um she hurts like a bitch, man. Like I'm like fucking oh my god, I can't even describe it. Imagine being in so much pain you can't even fucking take a shower. Like it
Mhm.
fucking hurts, bro.
Yeah, my
Um
mom, she had back issues
So,
for
you
years.
know, I don't know, man. I do hope that when Randy does come back, that he's 100% ready to fucking go. I don't. Last thing I would ever want is for him to come back prematurely, do an RKO, and end up in a fucking wheelchair or something.
No, I absolutely agree, man. But WWE staff, they are some of the best in the world. AEW and WWE, they take great care of, their superstars and,
I
professional
will. I
wrestlers.
will. I will
So,
say, man.
at least they're, under great hands.
I will say this. All right, and it does go back to the whole Bray Wyatt situation. I don't mean to keep bringing it up because it's. I mean, it's only been a week, but a couple days before he passed away, we heard nothing but he's making a full recovery. He's on his way back. He was supposed to come back in September, and he passed away because of a heart attack, and he wasn't wearing his heart monitor. So things things like this are very tricky, man. Like there's some things that you can you can help, and there's some things you can't. You know what I mean? No doctor is perfect. I don't give a fuck how much money you have.
Absolutely. But moving on now to our next match, we have a tag match for the WWE Tag Team Championships. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus Finn Balor and Damian Priest.
And a Steel City street fight, man. I can't wait for this match.
Finally, we're actually getting tag team championships defended.
I
Finally.
I will say, man, um, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn coming out of WrestleMania Night One. First time that tag team titles have ever main evented WrestleMania in the history of WrestleMania. Um, I feel like WWE halted the brakes on the momentum of Kevin Owens and Sami more than they should have. And I understand, like, obviously it came out that, Sammy had a shoulder injury. I think there was something wrong with Kevin Owens' knee or something. He had to take a couple weeks off, so he couldn't do anything physical or whatever. But like, there's so much you could have done, bro. Like, I hate to say it, but if I knew this was what WWE was gonna do, I would have just had the Usos retain. And I know it could have went against like the story because obviously the Usos aren't together anymore storyline. Yeah, and the flame just fucking fizzled out, bro. Like, I honestly don't give a shit anymore. It's fun watching them, but WWE is fucking screwed the pooch on this one.
You had a perfect end to this incredible storyline with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn and the Bloodline. Just for, this to happen where they've had a very lackluster tag team title run. I think it doesn't help that these championships, are unified. And I know a lot of us, wanted this to happen for a while, but
Mhm.
I think that's why sometimes us fans, we are wrestling maniacs, are wrong with certain things. And I feel like right now, they could use 2 separate tag team championships. I think they have enough tag teams to do it. And I just think that Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, they're really holding back the tag team division. I think having these titles unified is
Yeah.
holding back the tag team division because they're not really doing anything with a lot of these tag teams. You have, Hit Row, they're just jobbers and catering right now. You have, Gallows and Anderson, who are a great tag team, just chilling with AJ Styles doing nothing. You even have Imperium, Giovanni Vinci, and Kaiser. They could be freaking Raw tag team champions. You have, all these great tag teams that Triple H, I think, has done a fantastic job building, but they're all not going to be utilized right because there's only one set of tag team champions. And I think that that's
Yeah.
really holding a lot of these tag teams back. But I will
And
say
with
this, the Judgment Day, I do like that they're going for the tag titles.
I do too, but they're not gonna win because, obviously I have a feeling that JD McDonough is gonna come out and he's gonna attempt to help Judgment Day, and obviously it's gonna cause Damian Priest to fucking go overboard because we've seen how that's transpired over the last couple of weeks. JD McDonough helped him on Monday, and he ended up, JD McDonough went in for a handshake or whatever to say congratulations, and Damian just fucking pushed him down, and so we've seen the dynamic there. I do feel like JD McDonough is gonna play some kind of role in Judgment Day losing. And obviously it's going to cause more friction between Finn Balor and Damian Priest because of how close in the friendship and the relationship that JD McDonough has with Finn Balor. Finn Balor knows that JD McDonough's, attempting to help and wanting, trying to do the right thing. But Damian Priest is all about Judgment Day, and that's it. Anybody outside of Judgment Day and outside of this little, family circle gotta fucking go, you know?
And didn't Rhea Ripley tell them if you don't win gold, there's going to have to be some changes made in the Judgment Day?
Exactly. And this is a Steel City street fight. So there's gonna be no rules, no DQ. I do feel like Jaden McDonough is gonna play a huge role in this. Obviously, we've heard a lot of reports about Jaden McDonough possibly being the next member of Judgment Day. Whether that's
Should be.
whether that's gonna it's gonna, be Dom, Rhea, Finn, and Damien and Jaden McDonough, or maybe Damien gets kicked out or Finn gets kicked out. I honestly think with Damian Priest having a briefcase, I feel like if anybody in the Judgment Day could have a singles run and have it make sense, it would be Damian Priest. I feel like Finn Balor, he would get lost, amongst a pile of shit if they kicked him out. You know what I mean? So it does kind of make sense to have Finn Balor, Jaden McDonough, Dominic, and Rhea as Judgment Day and have Damian Priest go singles.
Before on, older episodes of the We Are Wrestling podcast, I know I said, and I believe I told Ben this last week on the podcast, because I know you weren't, available for that. I even said, myself, I was wrong because I wanted, Finn Balor to, leave the group. I thought that it made more sense that he left. But I think the Seth Rollins, feud with Balor has, made more sense that Balor should stay with the Judgment Day more than Damian Priest. And
Yeah.
honestly, like, I would love to see, a singles run now with Priest. I think that he could definitely benefit the most from it. I feel like he's ready. He's more established now. And the man has been holding his own. He's had great matches. Him versus Seth Rollins at Monday Night Raw that I went to. Him versus Bad Bunny, which should have been the main event of Backlash in Puerto Rico. I think that Priest, has done a fantastic job, coming out on his own now. And I think that it's only a matter of time before we get this big turn. But man, I'd be lying to you if I said I don't want, the Judgment Day not to win this match. Like, honestly, I would
Yeah.
love to see them win the tag titles.
I
But
would too,
I
but
feel like to further the Judgment Day storyline, Sammy and Kevin are going to retain.
I mean, it just makes sense, I mean, look at over the last couple of weeks, all the shit, all the friction and like the butting heads that Damian and Finn have done. You know what I mean? And now you add JD McDonough in the mix, who's potentially going to be the next member of Judgment Day after either somebody leaves or maybe JD McDonough does something to get on Damian's good side, and maybe he allows him to have some kind of trial period. That's not saying that a member is not going to leave at some point, but you could always have Jaden McDonough, join with, the original members or whatever and have, just have the extra, and he can sort of like the role that Dominic had, because I feel like Dominic has sort of gotten elevated as well. He used to be the Judgment Day's lackey, and he used to, do everything that Rhea Ripley said, and he kind of still does. But I feel like he's grown. He's grown away from that a little bit. He's sort of on his own. So you could have Jaden McDonough join Judgment Day and sort of be their lackey, like Damien or Finn or somebody tells him to do something, he goes and does it. You know what I
Yep,
mean?
that's very true. And JD McDonough could, lose and still be over. That's how talented the kid is. That's
Oh yeah.
why, Finn Balor, that's why, he's his mentor. That's
Yeah.
why he's mentored him because there is talent there. But now, who do we have winning this match?
I gotta go with Kevin and Sammy. Too predictable, obviously, with the friction between Damian and Finn. I don't see them being able to coexist. Especially with there being no rules. Maybe maybe Jaden McDonough gets involved. He goes to hit Sammy or Kevin with a steel chair and he accidentally nails Damian in the head or whatever. And
Ooh.
I mean, there's a lot you can do with it being a no DQ match.
Yeah, or Dom and JD. They actually do help Finn and Damian win the titles.
I mean, you could do that too. I'm going by like what we've seen on television over the last couple weeks.
Yeah, no. And honestly, as much as I want to see the Judgment Day have the tag titles, I think I would rather, Finn Balor and JD McDonough win the tag titles, but
Yeah.
I am going to have to go with Sammy and Kevin.
Plus,
But I really want Kevin and Sammy to lose these titles soon
I will
because,
say,
man, they're holding back the tag division.
I will say, this is a second-rate pay-per-view that not many people care about. This is not like one of the big four. We still have Survivor Series coming up. We still have the Royal Rumble
Fastlane.
coming up. Fastlane. Nobody gives a fuck about
I
Fastlane.
I know
Nobody
that,
gives
but
a
that's
fuck
the
about
next
this.
premiere. But I know, but that's the next premiere live event
But
before Survivor Series.
you can always have Kevin Owens and Sammy lose the tag titles at the Royal Rumble. You can have it, yeah, at
Oh,
WrestleMania.
please,
You can
no.
have it
Survivor
at
Series.
Survivor
Survivor
Series.
Series. Please.
Unless they do War Games and Sammy KO and maybe Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes are involved
Yep, versus Judgment Day,
against Judgment Day or something like that.
which I
Which
know those,
means
reports have been out there.
obviously with Damian Priest having the briefcase, I have a feeling from anytime from now until November, I feel like Damian Priest is gonna have some kind of storyline going on with Seth Rollins with him being champion, Damian holding the briefcase, and it's gonna end up causing a War Games match. Kevin Owens and Sammy and Cody and Seth versus Judgment Day in War Games as Survivor Series.
Yeah, I think that that's what they're leaning more towards because the Bloodline, you can't really do a War Games match with them now
I have a
that the
feeling we're gonna get.
Usos have broke
I have a
up.
feeling we're gonna get one of the Usos versus Solo Sikoa, or one of the Uso, like maybe Jimmy and Roman at
Oh
Survivor
man,
Series or something.
Survivor Series, we getting a fatal four-way. We're getting Jimmy versus Jay versus Solo versus Roman. Rumble, we're getting Solo versus Roman. I already know the script. And I know there's a lot of people that love making this whole script meme. And if this actually does happen, it's not going to help my case at all.
There's so much happening in the world of pro wrestling, man. It's insane. But I'm real. I am. I will
This is
say,
going to be a fun match.
even though Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn have had a lackluster title run, this match is going to be really fun.
It's
You
going to be a
know.
fun one. So we do have, the champs retaining.
Yep.
All right, moving on now to the next match. Finally, this match is happening. We have been waiting for this match to happen all the way back to the beginning of this year. We have a steel cage match, Becky Lynch versus Trish Stratus. Finally, hallelujah! This is over after Saturday.
I gotta say, man, and
Mwah!
every
Mwah! Yes.
everybody knows how you feel. I feel the same way. This feud is.
Too long.
If
Should
this
have ended at
doesn't
SummerSlam.
if this doesn't involve Lita in some way, I would love to see Lita and Becky versus Zoe Stark and Trish Stratus in the tag team match. That could possibly, maybe Lita shows up to help Becky because Zoe Stark is like trying to climb into the cage or whatever, and Lita comes down and it causes a tag team match to happen at Fastlane. Um, I'm looking forward to this match for one reason, and that's
Yeah.
because it's in a steel cage. If the cage was not a deciding factor in this match, I would not give a fuck about it. I don't like the storyline. I don't like this feud. It's boring television. The promos don't make any sense. The promos don't do anything to add any kind of excitement into the feud. I just it's nauseating television, man. I
It's
cannot fucking stand
the
it.
promos are literally the same every time I watch it. I swear I've heard Trish say the same thing for the past 6 months. I've heard Becky say the same thing for the last 6 months. And I just want them to move on already because I want to see Becky and Rhea feud because I
We
know
need
there's
to
money
get
to be made.
we need to get Becky and Lita in a tag team match against Trish Stratus and Zoe Stark. That's what we fucking need.
And I wouldn't be against that for Fastlane. And then after that, we could finally move forward.
Bro,
But all I know
imagine
is if Lita does not show up at Payback,
I'll be pissed.
I'm going to be pissed.
Bro, I don't think there's been another storyline involving women more legendary than Lita and Trish Stratus. I mean, wasn't Lita Trish Stratus's last match?
Yep.
Imagine all these years later, bro, in 2023, we have Lita against Trish Stratus one more time. I mean, bro,
I
that's
would love
legendary
that.
shit, man.
I'd love that, man. But
Plus, they sort of teased it that Lita was or Trish Stratus was the one that took out Lita so she could team up with Becky Lynch, and the night that she turned on Becky Lynch and turned heel.
hey, we're just going to have to wait and see what happens. But who do we have winning this?
I gotta go with Becky Lynch. If if Lita shows up. If Lita doesn't show up and it's Trish Stratus and Zoe Stark teaming up against Becky Lynch, because if Lita doesn't show up, there's nothing that's gonna stop Zoe Stark from climbing in the cage, unless they do some bullshit thing to where she's barred from ringside. But they can't because the last Raw before Saturday was Monday, and they didn't have any kind of stipulation like that. They'd be idiots to do it, the day of the show. Um, so if Lita shows up, I go with Becky Lynch. If Lita doesn't show up, I gotta go with Trish Stratus and Zoe Stark because there's nothing that's gonna stop Zoe Stark from climbing in the cage and both of them teaming up against Becky Lynch.
You got to pick one winner, man, for the predictions.
Fuck. I'll go with Becky Lynch because I have faith that Lita's gonna show up.
I'm going with Becky Lynch over Trish Stratus, and hopefully Lita does show up because that's the only thing that could save us at this point.
Hopefully this feud fucking ends, and like I said, the only saving grace will be Lita, and I hope they make this storyline more compelling than they have over the last couple months, because I am just fucking burnt out. I am allergic to this bullshit. Every time they're on TV, I want to fucking sneeze. Like, I just want this shit to fucking end, and it needs to end on Saturday, or else I'm gonna fucking flip a lid.
Alrighty, well, with that being said, let's move on to the main event match for WWE Payback. We have the WWE World Heavyweight Championship match. Seth freaking Rollins defending his championship against Shinsuke Nakamura.
Yeah, we talked about it earlier on the show. I wasn't quite sold on this match at the beginning, like when Shinsuke, Kinshasa, Seth Rollins, at the end of their tag team match a couple weeks ago. And then obviously the following week, Seth Rollins called Shinsuke out, and Shinsuke whispered something to him, which we had to wait till the following week to figure out what the fuck he said. And it wasn't until the following week when we started to get those backstage vignettes and those backstage, like, sort of like pre-tape promos.
Vignettes could do
Um,
something for somebody.
you
I've
know,
always said it
I,
here.
I feel like it
I'm a huge
helps
advocate for it.
Shinsuke because Shinsuke has broken English. So if you put, he's not somebody you can just give a live mic to and put in the middle of the ring and have him convey a story, to the audience.
Unless you have a manager with him and then they translate what he's saying.
Yeah, but even then, it won't come off like with a pre-tape promo. Like, you can have music, you can have like lighting, you can have like other footage, like to go over like what he's talking about or whatever, and you can have like the subtitles on the bottom or whatever. It adds elements to it that I don't think Shinsuke would have if you didn't do that kind of stuff. So I'm really glad that they did that, and it wasn't until then that I really got sold on this match. However, I'm not crazy about Shinsuke's choice of clothing, because he came out on Monday looking like a fucking homeless person behind Starbucks. The fuck is wrong with you, man? So, what the fuck?
Yeah, so honestly, I gotta say this. I'm very excited for this match. Shinsuke is finally getting a big opportunity here to show what he can do with, Seth friggin' Rollins, one of the best in WWE right now.
Mhm.
Definitely like on his A game right now. And what I really like about the storyline is the whole back injury thing
Yep.
because it makes it more unpredictable. Because obviously, Seth Rollins, if you go back and listen to Impulsive, he was talking about, his back issues that he has. So
Yep.
this is a legitimate thing. And that's what makes, the storyline very fascinating
Yep.
because when you bring real life shit involved into pro wrestling, usually 90% of the time it works. And honestly, like building this around Seth Rollins' injury, especially against a strong style, wrestler like Shinsuke Nakamura, it works. And
Yep.
honestly, it makes it very unpredictable. And honestly, I'm very invested in this match. Very excited.
I'm really excited too, man. It's gonna be a slobber knocker for sure.
But
Um,
the hardest question of the night, who do we have winning this match?
Definitely gonna go with Seth Rollins. I don't think he's gonna drop the title to Shinsuke Nakamura. Um, and I don't think Seth Rollins has really done much with the title. I think he needs to hold it a little bit longer. And I feel like, this is the most notable feud I feel like that Shinsuke has been in a long time. He came into WWE as sort of like this, New Japan legend. Everybody talked him up like he was the greatest thing on fucking on earth.
Dude, the way that they
And
built him in NXT was legendary.
And then when he came up to the main roster, he's been a fucking jobber since he fucking debuted.
Well, it was great. They built him fantastic. He won the
Yeah.
Royal Rumble, but then when they decided to have him turn heel on AJ Styles for no reason, that's what fucked up his entire main roster run.
Yeah. So I feel like this feud has done well for him. It got buzz around his name and what he's capable of doing. I don't think this is going to be the end of Seth Rollins versus Shinsuke Nakamura. And maybe eventually, maybe we get Damian Priest involved. Maybe we have a fucking triple threat. Who knows? Anything can happen at this point. But I think Seth Rollins is gonna win. But I don't think it's gonna be the end for Seth versus Shinsuke. I think it's gonna continue a little bit after this show.
Yeah, so it's definitely going to be interesting. This one's very hard for me because I'm definitely in between here. I think, like, Seth Rollins, I can't see him losing at, Payback to Shinsuke. I feel like this storyline is going to, move forward. I think that this won't be the last time these two wrestle. I think something's going to happen to where we're going to get the same match, but with the stipulation at Fastlane,
Yeah,
realistically. Because I don't see the end of this, especially, if you're bringing the real life injury involved, and then especially Shinsuke bringing up, Becky Lynch. But honestly, but then another part of me feels like Shinsuke could definitely benefit having the World Heavyweight Championship.
he
But
could, but
realistically, in the WWE universe, Seth Rollins, he's going to retain the championship. I want Shinsuke to win, but Seth Rollins is going to win.
if Shinsuke had more notable feuds or whatever, and he really had, he really built himself up to be a major player. I would have definitely went with Shinsuke, but I can't remember another notable feud, in recent memory besides this one. He's got really nothing behind him. If he keeps on this trajectory to where, he's building himself up, building himself up, building himself with credibility, then I could definitely see him being world champion. I just don't see it right now in this
But
current state of Shinsuke.
I do have a valid point here to make. Sometimes the champion makes the person. And we've seen it, throughout the years of pro wrestling. Here's a couple of perfect examples. One of them being John Bradshaw Layfield,
Mhm.
JBL. We, saw a huge character change with him in 2004. He went from being Bradshaw, APA, backstage, playing cards,
My
drinking
favorite
beer, playing
Bradshaw.
poker, to, this Wall Street character. And, they built this slowly. And within, a couple months, his first, big match on a pay per view, which was Judgment Day 2004. He went against Eddie Guerrero for the championship and
Mhm.
ended up winning the title. And that championship, made JBL such a more hated character throughout the years. And Shinsuke, I feel like that's what the man needs is a
Yep.
championship to, make people more invested in him because sometimes the championship makes the person. And with Shinsuke, if he beat AJ Styles at WrestleMania and had that big moment, you would have made a superstar right there. But instead, they pretty much buried him at that show by having AJ Styles retain the title against him, which that could have been fine if they did that, but having him turn heel, that was just killing it right there.
I will say, I didn't honestly think WWE was gonna allow this.
Oh, also Jinder Mahal, that's another perfect example
Oh,
as well.
don't get me started on fucking gender.
Yeah, but his
Um,
WWE championship run, the championship made him,
he
and it
was the
made people
he's the
invested.
worst. He's probably the worst champion besides Diesel.
Oh, come on. That was great. I loved
No,
it.
the fuck it wasn't.
Unpopular
Um,
opinion.
I gotta say, like during Seth Rollins's promo, I was honestly shocked that WWE allowed him to mention the Tokyo Dome because of how the significance of New Japan, and WWE doesn't necessarily like to mention promotions outside of them. They like to act like they're the only game in town. So when what happened to the Shinsuke that main evented the Tokyo Dome? Like, I gotta say, man, I marked the fuck out. I was not expecting to hear that on Monday Night Raw. They didn't even bleep it out either.
That's great. And honestly, they've done a great job with this feud. And I really do hope that they main event Payback because we haven't got a World Heavyweight Championship main event yet on a Premier
Yeah.
Live event.
I will say, like, I do think Shinsuke's gonna look strong. I just, I feel like he needs a little bit more credibility before he beats somebody like Seth Rollins, who's pretty much been a main event guy besides Roman for the past 2 years, 3 years. I feel like Seth Rollins, he earned this. This wasn't just given to him. He
You're
went
right.
years without a championship. You know what I mean? So he really built himself up. And if Shinsuke can do the same exact thing, then you know what? He should be champion at some point.
And that's the thing, man. At the end of the day, Payback, we got a really good premiere live event coming out Saturday, which we're going to be doing a live watch along for here on the We Are Wrestling YouTube channel. And we're going to have a great time doing it. And honestly, this is definitely one of the better premiere live events for WWE. I think they have a
Watch alongs
fantastic match. I think they have a fantastic match card.
out of every kind of form of content that we make, man, watch alongs are my favorite because we get to make content and just sit back and just watch a fucking show, man. It's fucking great.
Oh, I love doing the watch alongs, but my favorite content here on the We Are Wrestling channel is hot takes, because then I don't have you or Ben interrupting me while I give my awesome, intelligent hot
Your
take
hot take is
on
you
things
think
going on in the
your hot
professional wrestling
take
world.
your hot take is you think Shinsuke Nakamura should be WWE champion. It's not gonna fucking happen. Not right now, anyway.
World heavyweight champion.
It's the same fucking thing, man.
Yeah, but I do think Seth Rollins is going to win. It's going to happen.
It's inevitable.
But I'm very excited for the show. But to the We Are Wrestling Maniacs that are listening to, this podcast, give us a 5-star review. Not just a 5-star review, but a best one review. And download the episode. But to the We Are Wrestling Maniacs watching this predictions, let us know in the comment section below your predictions for WWE Payback. And let us know how you guys feel about this card. Because I think Danny and I, we both are in agreement that this, premiere live event is looking very good. But if you guys enjoyed this predictions, make sure to smash that like button now. Later on today, we are going to be having the AEW All Out predictions coming out as well. We got a jam-packed weekend. If you're not a We Are Wrestling Maniac yet already, subscribe, turn on the post notifications. The link's down in the description below. You can go follow Danny and I over on our social medias and our personal YouTube channels. All the links down below. In addition, if you want more shorter clips of, the podcast and stuff, go follow us over on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, X, or TikTok. All the links down below. And, of course, to all the We Are Wrestling Maniacs out there worldwide, we are taking over. Peace.